Hello, welcome, and thanks for being here today for a chat on how to protect yourself so that you can better protect those who hire you. A little bit about me. I'm John Marinaro, often referred to as Sauce. Yeah, that little last name there. I'm the Director of Technical Sales over at Celerium, which means I'm the poor guy stuck in between the lovely sales and engineering teams, whose job it is to make sure they play nice not just with each other, but with you. I'm a subject matter expert in cybersecurity, have deployed way too many things to mention, and far too many I don't ever want to touch again, which is what brought me into the CISO space for Riptide messaging, and now, of course, into Celerium as the Director of Technical Sales. And of course, that means that I've covered a decent amount in compliancy and the needs of businesses to actually go through and keep themselves protected. So before we get started, I'd like you to think about everybody that may be watching this, may go through and think, who of my customers are being attacked right now? Well, you are being attacked. In today's threat landscape, threats aren't just the realm of those hacky types, hiding away in their hoodies, looking at glowing screens, whispering, "I'm in," whenever they enter their login credentials. They're commoditized. Notice where he's sitting at. He's at home with a nice desk and chair. It's because the infrastructure that he's hosting this all is up in the cloud, accessible by anyone and everyone, and cheap to get running. This is the same infrastructure that you've been using, your AWS, your Azure instance, your GCP. All of that allows them to easily go through and build these things on up and then deploy them on out to attack you. It's the same that you've used for your own stacks, your own apps, and heck, your own video streaming and cloud storage. We're not just seeing this come out of the individual shady types. We're also seeing this pop up with nation state actors, no longer needing the massive programs to exploit what you have, but instead buying exploits or even the stolen data on the dark web. They use this day in and day out to fill their coffers and do what they need to do and get what they want to get done. That said, we've got a team on our side, good old Department of Defense. We have a direct connection to them over here at Celerium, with our current chief strategy officer actually being the guy who set up the first 24/7 SOC for the White House. So we know this technology. And that brings us into what you need to protect yourself. Because remember, this is about you. First, your first line of protection, your firewall. They're simple devices. A nice little yes or no with a lot of extra technology to go through and make sure that anything isn't trying to sneak on in. And I know a lot of you have them deployed at your customer locations, but do you have them deployed on yourself? And of the ones that you have deployed, are they proper firewalls? Or is it the firewall, quote unquote, that comes with your ISP's router? Because that's not going to keep you protected. You need to be running something more secure than that. On top of that, what happens when your people go outside of the network? Not when your customers do, because of course you're focused on that. You're already running things like endpoint security. You're going and having them VPN on back to the office. That might be protected, or even better, VPN to the cloud so that it's all going through some kind of cloud-based firewall. But are you using that? Because at the end of the day, a lot of these threats, a lot of the things that are out there aren't just targeting their customers, they're targeting you. They're going after you because they know that you have access to all of your customers' infrastructure. Look at the vast majority of the big hacks that are out there. These are the ones against companies that are massive, have large IT departments, have people constantly focused on this kind of stuff. And the way people get around that is by the people. When you look at the infamous Target hack, that was an HVAC guy whose passwords led him on into their system. You've got numerous ones where it's just some guy thinking that, well, it's an easy way to just log on in here. I don't need to worry about that. I don't need to be hacked. I'm too small. Well, the world of commoditized threats, you do need to worry about this. And that brings us into kind of the second half of this, which is how that affects you with compliance. How many of you out there have customers that are, say, dentists? They're, of course, small offices. They tend to not be the most technically proficient when it comes to IT and security, though they definitely know their way around a drill and an x-ray. That said, they've hired you to do the job of protecting them. What happens when you're the breach that allows, some actor to go through and access their patient data that's supposed to be protected by HIPAA. You understand that they have these compliancy requirements, but have you protected yourself so that people can't get into those requirements? How about pharmacies? A lot of independent pharmacies do utilize MSPs to go through and keep them protected. What happens if you're the one that gets egg on your face because you're the one that got hacked, and now not just their patient information, but now all of their payment information is compromised? Doctors' offices, same exact scenario. These are not people that are technically proficient. So when it comes down to it, they put a lot of trust in you. And the easiest way to erode that trust is by being the reason why they got hacked. And trust me, it's a terrible scenario to be in. And of course, last but not least, one of my personal favorites, near and dear to my heart, lawyers. It's tough being an IT professional, working with clients like dentists, pharmacists, doctors, and lawyers, because they know best when it comes to their own profession. And they hate to be told that they don't know best. So I'm going to give you a secret little magic word called liability. This will be super useful to you to go through and work with, especially lawyers, but anybody in any kind of compliancy space, because they want to reduce that liability as much as possible. But it's your job to keep them protected. And that brings us into the cost of doing business today, because if you're supporting any business, and I know you are because that's the job, there is compliancy involved. And they will be required to keep themselves protected. And because of today's digital economy, especially in a post-COVID world where we're trying to do more and more online, be that ordering, payment, and such, you're going to find yourself trying to go through and keep that data protected, keep those customers protected. And no feeling is worse than finding out that the reason why your customers weren't protected, why they were hacked, is because of you. Trust me, that is the worst. And that brings us down into, well, the sales part of all of this. What we do, Network Defender. This is a great product because what we do specifically is we grab threat intelligence from all across the internet, over 100 different sources, including all the vendor intelligence you are used to maybe relying on, small sites, big sites, and sites in between. And we take that all and collate that, compare it to one another, and allow that to score it. And that's how we go through and tell you, hey, is this a false positive? Or is this something you actually need to be worried about? And you think, cool, I get all that information. Is this more work that I need to do? No, because what we do on the back end is we push this back on into your device, to those firewalls that you should have installed. And please, if you don't, get one installed. But we're able to push that on in so that the firewall is able to auto block based on the threat intelligence we give. And the joy behind that, you don't have to lift a finger. We've had customers go through and not log into interfaces in months, only logging back on in to set up a new customer. And they've been happy with it because it's able to go through and keep them protected, keep you protected. Beyond that, what we also do is for anybody working in the CMMC space, I know that once again, the big compliance rears its head. We do a whole host of training courses to keep you up to date and get you those credits you need to be CMMC compliant. We want you to keep yourself protected. We want you to stay compliant in your own sense so that you can keep your customers safe and compliant. So you can be this guy. So if you have any of the devices that we have on the screen here, and of course you can come to our site today and look those up as well, we'll be happy to go through and get something set on up, talk to you about that. Or if you're dealing on the CMMC side, we'd love to chat with you about compliance and upping the side on that. If you have any questions, feel free to reach on out. Of course, you can always find me at any of the conventions that we come to or email me directly. Always happy to chat. And if you want to go find out more information, if you have any questions, please visit Celerium.com or email us at info@Celerium.com. I hope you have a fantastic day.